Hello, it's Scott Manley here, and today we are looking at Take on Mars, or Take on Mars. No, it's not a story about George Takei on Mars, although that would be really cool, because I bet you Sulu could fly there faster than anyone else with his mad navigation skills. Yeah, so you probably have seen Take on Mars on this channel before. It's had a whole section for robotic exploration of Mars, and that's kind of a fun, relaxing way to spend time, but after releasing that, the development disappeared off into looking at scenarios, multiplayer, basically astronauts. And finally, now, after much work, we're at the 0.9 version, but we now have a manned exploration program, which is scripted, Chapter 2. And there's me as a dude on the surface of Mars saying hi to his buddy, his sidekick, the Mars rover. In the year 2028, Earth launched the first manned mission to Mars. It was the greatest endeavor in the history of mankind. 1 year later, the mission successfully reached Mars orbit. During entry into the Martian atmosphere, connection with the descent vehicle was lost. Despite numerous attempts, contact could not be re-established. As a result, the descent vehicle and its crew were declared missing in action. And not in the cool way, where we get a movie with you fighting in Vietnam. No, this is, we are missing on Mars. Presumed dead. So yeah, not good. I need to try and get out of this seat. Well, where am I? Let me out of here. Thank God. Okay.
Shit.
My suit oxygen.
Oxygen.
Okay, I'm apparently stuck on Mars because I hit the button too quickly.
Emergency cabin dispenser.
He's still... Okay, little bit of a bug there, but it is still early access, so it's not a disaster. Come on, there we go. Now we can actually get moving. Let's get back inside. Oh my goodness. The destruction is so terrific. I mean, as in amazing. It's not good, it's just a terrifying amount of destruction. The main module seems to have split into 4 major parts, and apparently the fuel has mixed because we have fires raging on Mars, an environment not known for its oxidizing atmosphere.
Oxygen canister.
Great, let's refill.
I can use it to refill my suit.
Yes, I shall refill your suit. The narration there, I think it might actually be the principal game dev that's doing the narration. I could be wrong, but it sounds like he might be a local one. I interviewed him in the past, and it does sound... I don't know. I'm not going to call him. Maybe there is actually someone else.
I hope he's intact.
Oh, here we go. Another canister. Let's do inventory, and then I can just right-click on this and refill my oxygen.
Enough oxygen? Check. Now I need to patch up my suit. Hopefully there'll be a kit around here somewhere.
Yes, so I would imagine that there's a conveniently located box which might contain a suit kit. Ah, a suit patch kit, which is basically duct tape, of course, to repair everything.
I'm no longer in any immediate danger. However, it will be nightfall soon. I need a pressurized shelter to survive the night in. If I remember correctly, we had an emergency pop tent in our landing supplies. I need to find it.
Okay, an emergency pop tent, which is kind of like a Pop-Tart, but it's like if you take a Pop-Tart and turn it into a tent. So there's a whole lot of stuff everywhere. What's over here? We have another container. What's in this? Apparently it is embedded into the surface. Oh, that looks like another oxygen cylinder. That's good. But we need a tent so we have some shelter. We have a little bit of noise coming from the radiation detector. Locate pop tent. You need a pressurized...
I think the pop tent was stored in this section. Jesus, look what's left of it.
Uh-huh. Look what's left of it. Oh, bit of trash there. Not going to take that. But we have the pop tent. There. And it tells us where we can deploy it. So let's take this. Now, a pop tent is something that has been mentioned and designed or whatever. It has never really been developed properly. The idea is it's like an inflatable pressure supported tent that lets you essentially, as astronauts, de-suit or whatever somewhere on the surface of a planet which is not hospitable to human life. Let's put that down there. Oh, I meant to deploy it, not drop it. I gotta pull the card. Deploy. I clicked on it, what the heck? Grab it. Deploy. No. Try that again. Deploy. Ah, there we go. Okay, now it's gonna go.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I have shelter, so now I'd better look for some supplies.
So I gotta find food and water and oxygen barrel. I did actually see an oxygen barrel. I'm gonna run around. I know it's gonna raise my respiration, but I kind of feel that I wanna make things happen quickly for my audience. I mean, obviously running around on the surface of Mars is going to deplete my oxygen faster, and therefore I will die sooner. But it's better than you guys getting bored. After all, it is a game. So I'm going to take this back because I think that tent needs the oxygen. Search for supplies that can help us endure the night. I'm going to go jogging across the surface with this oxygen thing carried in front of me. Now, well, I see it has an attach oxygen option up here, so I need to figure out how to attach it to the ceiling. If I just... Oh, there, it attaches. Great! So now we need to find water. I wonder where that would be. We could use... Well, certainly if there was plenty of water around, it's probably frozen into the soil. Let's take a look at this. We have... Ah, spare water pack. Excellent. So that's water. Excellent. And now we need to find some food. Some potatoes, right? What's the odds that we have plenty of potatoes on the surface? We don't need that oxygen right now. We need food. Oh, more water packs. Space water pack, actually. Super high tech. We don't need space water packs. We need Mars water packs. Oh, beef steak. Okay. Thank God they're not going to force us to eat potatoes.
Time to get some rest.
Now it's telling us to get some rest, which means relocating my pop tent, which is here, and sitting down, chilling out, and listening to some disco tunes. Gotta get some hot stuff into my tent. There. Into my tiny little airlock here. I think this brings me down, so I gotta squeeze in here. Close the door. So we have an airlock on this. And then open the interior. Excellent. Oh, look, we have a little bed already rolled up here. Close that. And I guess what I can do is I can put my suit and helmet in here to recharge. Excellent. So now if I look at... I was going to say if I look at myself, but I can't. I was trying to do a third person view, but that's kind of hard. Yeah, that's him in his underwear. Okay, well I'm going to lie down here for a little while. How did this happen? We did everything right. But you know what? You couldn't resist the power of drama. Because
How?
drama makes things happen.
We did everything right.
Okay, now do I get rest here by like sitting down or
Better get
what?
some sleep. Worry about it tomorrow.
Wow, this dude is a steely-eyed missile man if he can sleep after all that. Oh, wait, to be continued in early 2016, which has passed. So he's going to sleep a little longer. Okay, so other things that have appeared in the game since I last really looked at it. Okay, we covered power in a previous live stream, but now we have docking. And I can just turn on the auto dock button in this spacecraft, which is called an MAV. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a Mars ascent vehicle, but its fuel tanks are rather small for a vehicle which hypothetically could launch from Mars and maybe get into space and dock with a space station. Yeah, look, we're just going to watch the camera here as the docking is handed magically by the computer. The computer should do all the work for me, while I appreciate the camera zoom attached to my helmet here. There. We can look through a little screen to a virtual screen. This is like so meta. I'm looking at my computer screen at a screen that's projected in my virtual helmet at a screen that is projected in my cockpit. This is like Screenception or something. Oh wow, he's like burning all of the thrusters. That's what he's doing. Okay, coming in for a fast docking. Oh. Okay, so much for computers. What were you thinking? You just broke the spaceship and probably damaged the space station. Oh, man. And looks like we might have damaged the thrusters. I think... Oh, wow. I think we're spinning faster and faster. This situation is not getting any better. Look at those guard rays. It implies there's some smoke in space or something like that. I think we better get out of this. Get out of here! Get out of here! Oh, wow. Oh, ow! Ow, and there it flies off. I've been kicked away. And I'm now floating away from the space station. And apparently I don't have any suit thrusters or anything. So yeah, this is gravity. Except that there's nobody around. I mean, I don't see any other players. Maybe in multiplayer there'd be another spaceship to pick me up, but it appears that I'm just floating away from the space station. Until, well, I'm probably not going to fall into the atmosphere. Looks like I've got 1 hour and 54 minutes of oxygen, and I cannot figure out if any of the keyboard controls are doing anything. Pushing every button, trying to do anything, but it doesn't matter because I don't have any reaction thrust clearly. I'm just floating around in space. Admiring the view. Well, at least the view is pretty from up here. From up here, there are no borders. Which, yeah, not to be the same in Europe, sadly. Yeah. Is that Africa? That might be Africa there. Looks like there's a lot of lights or something. It looks actually like there's lights along the coast. I'm wondering if the image of the Earth, the surface map of the Earth, the texture map, includes emission maps for lights. And those are just coming through. Obviously, this is not the best way to end an episode. So, how can I finish this off? I can admire myself from outside. Look at me. Look at my feet. These feet will never stand on the ground again. These hands will never embrace my family again. I have gone full Major Tom. Never go full on Major Tom. Well, maybe I have something that can help me in this situation. Let's take a look at my inventory. Vitamins, are those, that's medical tool. Seeds. Space food pack. Could have myself a nice last meal. I have, oh, I could take that off. That's what I'm gonna do. Ha! Of course, you know, you wouldn't be able to hear me suffocating in space because there's a vacuum in space. In space, nobody can hear you, suffocate. Okay, let's try that again. So I decided to go into the configuration menu and I found out that because I've owned this game for quite a long time, that my keyboard bindings don't include any bindings for the spaceship. And I'm guessing that the spacesuit was a spaceship, maybe? Anyway, I am now flying this thing in on manual approach here. It's really rather like Kerbal Space Program in that way, although we have those little display screens in my virtual cockpit. Using my docking alignment indicator and my camera here, I'm going to slow myself down just at the threshold of docking. We're going to tighten up the orientation and then move in extra carefully to make sure that this works. So I'm using the bottom screen here, right, the docking align screen. I'm rotating my roll, getting those back to 0, and then using space bar to freeze any roll rotation. And then the right alt key is actually pauses any translation. So I'm going to put this thing in the middle while moving inwards, and then just try and keep it there. And hopefully dock at a couple of inches per second. That was the speed at which the shuttle would dock. When the shuttle was docked to the space station, that was the heaviest spacecraft in orbit. So adding the shuttle obviously added a whole bunch of extra mass to the space station, and Since the shuttle stopped flying, we haven't basically added anything to the space station except for maybe the beam, the Bigelow expandable activity module. There are a couple of modules still sitting in warehouses, factories, that haven't quite been prepared for flight. The Russians have a couple of items, and then there's this whole story that the Russians want to do their own space station. Okay, think I've got this. 5, 6... a couple of inches per second, 3 centimeters per second. Let's keep this going. 3.1. Oh, careful. I'm just looking at this. So, yeah, the Russians have some modules that may eventually get launched, but not anytime soon. There we go. Look, we can see these things coming together. Oh, does that not look beautiful? I have to say, docking to the realistic space station at realistic speeds is kind of cool. Oh, docked! Excellent, we're docked! Look at that, they're stuck together like best bros in outer space. Hey, this is Mav. How you guys gonna like each other? Yeah, I think that is docked. That is correct. And press E to disembark. I gotta actually do this. There we go. Out we go. Now, I guess that's the hatch to the ISS. Let's go and take a look. Open the hatch and float on in. Obviously, this doesn't happen this quickly in the real space station, since as soon as they dock, they have to go through tons and tons of tests to make sure that the space station is properly docked and there's nothing leaking and things aren't on fire and that nobody smells. Okay, let's go this way. This is not the one with the airlock. So this is the Columbus module, which is a lab, and on the other side should be the Japanese module. Well, what is that? On the other side, yes, we should have the Japanese module with the little airlock where they can poke experiments out into space and say, how'd you like space? Do you like space? Do you like the view out here? Or is there too much radiation and not enough air for you to really appreciate things? So there's like a space up there to work on utilities, and yeah. Okay, where are we now? That is a thing. And down here, what do we have? We have another module. Is this... I think this it says open airlock. Surely that's... No, that is actually an airlock that opens out into space, and I've just killed everyone on the space station. Good news is that I was the only person on the space station at this time, because otherwise I would probably be out of a job by now. In fact, if I opened that door when the space station was still full of air, I would have been blown out into space. Okay, and I think around... Yes, here we go. We have the cupola module, so I can hang out and look down upon the earth below me, take awesome pictures and post them to Twitter, and yeah, get comments about my efficient hairstyle in space. So yeah, Take on Mars, it's still one of those early access games that's slowly adding stuff to it. We're not sure how long it's gonna take to actually finish things off. It's I certainly quite like mucking around with it, but it's not the most cohesive game at this time. That being said, I really hope that it gets finished so that we have something. I still think that the probes, the Martian rover driving is great. It's dull, but that's what driving Martian rovers is like. And I'm glad to see, actually, by the way, that the developers do in fact have the space station orbiting the Earth, because there's quite a few games I've seen with astronauts in space where they can't even get that right. So yeah, the game is Take on Mars, and I've managed to get through the whole episode without singing Take on Me, and that's probably a good thing. It still exists largely as a bunch of different scenarios demonstrating different mechanics of the game, and there are a pretty broad selection of space type things to do. So, if you want to build Mars bases, I guess that kind of works. Just don't expect a cohesive adventure just yet, but clearly they are working on it. No idea what the timeline is. So yeah, I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.